Suffering. What is the root to our suffering? How many of you know that too many of us are suffering? How many of you know that suicide is at an all-time high? How many of you know that depression is at an all-time high? How many of you understand that a lot of us are not living the lives that we love, that we desire, not for us and not for our children, but we want to change that. And the only way we can elevate is by what? Gaining new information. So many of you know me. I've been teaching self-mastery for 15 plus years now, all things self-mastery, and the core teachings I pull from psychology, metaphysics, universal principles and laws, the different sciences, psychology, all the things that we are absolutely all the things that we absolutely embody. And so this live, just like all the rest of my lives, are to educate and empower, to provoke transformation. I don't just want you happy when you leave these lives. I don't just want you excited leaving these lives. So this is the way it works. You respond to me, I respond to you. This is a two-way street, right? We grow, we learn together. And transformation, I teach it so we can reveal the true causes of why so many of us are not attracting the money that we want, attracting the love, the husband, the wives, all of the things, the opportunities that we want, then all the things that are absolutely imperative for us to know. So the true causes behind these conditions that goes beyond, let me fix that my YouTube stream. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to write them and put them down in the comments, and I'll do the best I can to pay attention to them while I am teaching. So the purpose, what is the purpose of these master classes? They are for transformation by revealing the true causes, the root causes behind the suffering, behind depression, behind PTSD, behind the anxiety, behind the fear, scarcities, and lack. Not just surface level symptoms, right? We use expert insights, right? Expert level insights, pulling from psychology, neuroscience, quantum physics. So we heal in trauma over here, not continuing to heal. Okay. And I understand that there's a lot of what theme? What theme is being, I just got a restriction. Why do we get restrictions? I'm still so clueless as to why we get restrictions. How am I violating community guidelines? TikTok. Whew, resets. Okay, so quantum physics, trauma healing, self-mastery. As many of us are awakening to the signs and symptoms that are deeper, that requires deeper understanding, especially when it comes to us suffering, right? What those deeper root causes are, and why having mastery over these situations is absolutely fundamental and imperative for us to know. So these are the things that you're going to learn if you stick around. These are the things that you're going to learn. Peace, love, peace. Hi, Joe. How are you, my love? Hi. I'm just going to use the acronyms because TikTok is being real sensitive right now. So welcome in, YT family. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. We are talking about the root to your suffering and what you're going to learn. When will we change? When you decide, oh, that's a nice name. You know why? Put it in the comments if you know why. Joe, how are you, my love? Tech, how are you, my love? Peace. Hi, Periscope. Hi, love. How you doing? I haven't seen you in quite a bit. It's always good to sense your energy. Linda, how are you? So the things that you're going to be learning this rising, because it's nighttime for me, so I have to realize we are on an 11-hour time zone difference. What's up? Hi, Futu. How are you, my love? So the quantum and psychological roots of human suffering, right? Human suffering and how to resolve it, right? There are a lot of discussions centered around manifesting, attracting. There's a lot of discussions centered around why men are doing this, why women are doing that, right? And they're all pretty much surface level. So we want to move from having discussions about these topics to actually gaining the information and knowledge and wisdom as to how to overcome them, how to actually resolve them. these restrictions are really, really wild. So now TikTok is not pushing out my video. Please put hashtag FYP in the comment section for me so we can let TikTok know that this is not in violation of any of their community guidelines, right? So we're going to be going through the 4 leading causes of why many of us suffer, which is important because until you understand the inner core reason as to why something is happening, you're going to be unable to fix it. So just talking about surface level suffering, we know what suffering, we know the byproduct of suffering, we know the ramifications of suffering, we know that it's painful, we understand that it's overwhelming, we understand that there's an imbalance somewhere, we understand that it is ruining a lot of our day-to-days, a lot of our lives, a lot of our goals and plans. So we're going to not only talk about, we're not talking about the surface level of suffering, the root of suffering. We're going to be talking about the metaphysical and energetic blocks that are causing us to suffer. And the number one thing most people never realize about suffering and how it keeps us stuck. So if you care about your life, if you care about meeting, bringing your goals to fruition, if you care about mastering yourself, if you care to not continue repeating the same unhealthy behavior patterns, then you are absolutely in the right place. Things change when you decide to change, right? And time does not heal all wounds, contrary to popular belief. Time does not heal all wounds. Peace, Native. How are you? Peace, Mike. How are you? I hope you all are doing absolutely amazing this rise and this Wednesday. It is what we call hump day. It is the midweek. So we're also going to be talking about how the subconscious mind governs 95% of our programs, of our behaviors. So like I said in the beginning, in order for you to understand how to change something, you have to have more information, right? It is absolutely it is foolish, and I respectfully say that. It is absolutely foolish to think that you can change a situation from within the situation. And a lot of us are attempting to change a situation from in the situation, and that's not how that works. So this is your portal into that change. This is your portal into understanding on a deeper level as to why you are suffering, as to why many of us are living in poverty, as to why many of us are not fulfilling our dreams, goals, wishes, as to why many of us are still stuck in the same miserable jobs. You understand what I'm saying? I want to ask why people stay in a toxic relationship even after knowing that the other person don't love them. Well, Futu, some of the primary reasons is a lot of us lack understanding of who we are. That's one. So I'll take a pause and we're going to get back into the root causes. It starts with not understanding who we are. Fancy, how are you, my love? Fancy Keys and Things, how are you, twin? Right? So when a person doesn't really understand who they are, when a person is dealing with low self-esteem, low self-worth, when a person have been programmed to constantly people please, put other people first in front of them, to sacrifice their overall sense of well-being, that's why they stay in unhealthy relationships. Those are just foundational. Those are just surface level reasons. And so I'm glad you asked that question, Futu, because we're going to be talking about why people suffering, and staying in an unhealthy relationship is considered suffering. Right? Because you're not happy, you're not growing, you're not elevating, you're de-elevating, you're devolving, and you're self-destructing at an alarming rate. And so we're going to be talking about those things. So before we get into the masterclass, right, of the root of suffering, just allow me to briefly introduce myself, because I have a lot of new supporters, both on FB and YT, as well as on TikTok, right? So my name is Venus. My name is Venus Scott. I am the founder of Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program, one of my most requested master programs, as well as All Things Mastery Mentorship Community. I am also a best-selling author, published 4 books, up to date, working on my 5th. I am an Army veteran and a former survivor of suffering from many different things: depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, low self-worth, all of those things. So when it comes to me having a deeper understanding of what I'm talking about, suffering is specifically this evening master lesson, I know all too well, just like many of us, of what that actually is. So I'm absolutely qualified. I've been teaching all things mastery for 15 plus years, and the core of my teaching stems from psychology, neuroscience, genetics, epigenetics. It stems from quantum physics, quantum mechanics. I pull from psychology. I pull from universal laws and principles. All of these very same things that was kept from us learning within the structures of the school systems, work systems, all of the above. But at this time, how many of you know that there's no rhyme, reason, justification as to why we're still struggling, as to why we're still suffering? And so when we understand first how to minimize all of the noise, everything that we're consuming, because why? We become what we consume, right? Futu says, she used to be my bestie, and I told her that her boyfriend don't love her, and she got upset even after. I understand programming. So in order for you to change anything, you have to understand the thing that you need to change. And that thing that we're speaking about, this rising, okay, I was about to say this evening because it's evening time here in Thailand, is suffering. We have to understand what suffering is in order for us to what? Correct suffering, in order for us to know what we are fighting. You cannot fight what you can't see, and you cannot understand what you are unaware of. And so first and foremost, that's important. How much is your reading? Baby, how are you, my love? I don't do readings. I'm a self-mastery mentor and educator. However, I do offer one-on-ones, which is more of a personal session to give you guidance and insight. I also have a master program that can give you so many foundational information and master classes packed with whatever you need to get you on that road to mastering yourself and mastering your reality. So Futu, to your question, if you stick around, you're going to gain a lot of information that you can then share with your friend to help her if she wants the help. If people don't want help, understand that it is not your responsibility to force them. People change when they're ready to change, right? And we have to respect them enough to allow them to go through whatever it is they want to go through in life, no matter if it hurts us to see them hurting or not. We cannot force others to change when they're not ready to change. So today we're going to be going deep into the actual roots, causes of why we suffer. This is part of the master series, The Root to Suffering. I have three other series that we're going to be going through in the coming weeks. The root to suffering, the root to poverty, the root causes of depression, why we struggle with money, the root causes to poverty, the root causes to PTSD. All of these things are absolutely imperative, as they are very prevalent in a lot of our lives today. So we can't no longer just talk about our issues. We cannot just expect to talk about the surface level things of what's going on. Arguing back and forth with one another isn't working. It isn't proven to get a resolve, right? And so we have to understand that. So I want to be very, very clear. A lot of us are not broken. A lot of us are not broken. We are simply programmed with the program that came from our mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles and educators and everyone and everything that has ever took part in influencing our identity today. So it's not so much of blaming them, people, places, and things, as it is important for us to realize now that there may have been a lot of things that they taught us that wasn't there to serve us. You understand? Because you can only give what you have within you to give. And a lot of us are very ignorant to universal laws and principles. A lot of us are very ignorant as to why we suffer, as to why we keep running on a dysfunctional hamster wheel, as to why we're still suffering with Stockholm syndrome, as to why we're still praising our so-called enslavers, right? All of this requires information in order for us to break cycles, for us to break generational unhealthy behavior patterns. I wouldn't necessarily say curses, but to each his her own. Whatever you want to call these things, you're more than welcome. So the things that we haven't been taught is that our mind is not just a mind. Our mind is a supernatural phenomenal, most sophisticated and multifaceted operating system, right? Your mind is just not your mind. Your emotions are not just your energy and motion. And even though we hear these cliches and these statements a lot in a lot of echo chambers in these lives, a lot of people who are propagating and misinterpreting and misinforming the people don't really have a deep enough understanding to teach you anything. Right? So what you consume, you become. So if you're constantly consuming misguided, miseducated, incorrect information, guess what? You're going to continually be shaped by that same information that is doing nothing to serve your higher purpose, that is doing nothing to get you one step closer to the life that you actually want to live. Yeah, and some when people are not ready for the truth, Futu, they will naturally reject it. But that's not your responsibility. Once you put the information out there, once you show the individual, whomever, in this case, this is your friend, that you love her enough to tell her the truth, that's what it is, right? Because we should have people in our lives that are willing to tell us the undesirable truths that we need to hear, not just the desirable truths that we actually want to hear. So this is what this masterclass is absolutely for. Our emotions are not just energy and motion, they are chemical signatures, right? And I know that for many of us, it is absolutely challenging for us to absorb or retain new information because we've been operating on the same unhealthy rhetoric, the same unhealthy dogma, philosophies, and theories of individuals who never purpose for you to grow, elevate, and evolve and learn to master self anyway. And our traumas isn't our identities. I want you to understand that. Your trauma isn't your identity. Even though you may think that it is, it's not your identity, right? It's just that your energy that hasn't been released or hasn't been transmuted is still causing you to suffer in many ways. And that's why I create the master classes that I create. This is why I teach you about self-mastery. This is why I teach you about neural programming. This is why I teach you about neural networks and neural pathways. This is why I teach you about cognitive reprogramming. This is why I teach you about universal laws and principles, because understand that the elites, the ones that are seemingly in control, they know all of this. They know who we are better than we know who we are. They understand our power more than we understand our power, which is why we inevitably allow them to keep ciphering off our most precious energy. Your energy is your life force. Your heart is your life force. Your life is your life force, right? Your mind is your life force. And until you learn what that actually is, you're going to continually recycle the same old mental programs, the unhealthy mental programs that you've been recycling. And it's not only going to affect you, it's going to continue to affect generations after you, right? So to give you the truth, the science, and the underlying root causes of what's really going on with us, say what's really going on with us, we need to understand these and we need to learn to break these things down, right? Infinite gratitude. Thank you for the hearts, YT family. Thank you for the hearts. TikTok, I need y'all to show out and show up, okay? Because if you understand, I teach universal principles, and one of those principles, one of those laws is the law of exchange, the law of rhythm, the law of flow, right? The law of cause and effect. There's always going to be an exchange, and whenever you have an opportunity to exchange at the minimum level, do it, because it definitely is going to impact your life in a big way. You don't have to trust me now, but I guarantee you, I don't promise you, I guarantee you, if you start consuming, right, information that is proven, that is accurate, that is universal, your life will change for the better. I'm sorry, but I have to go now. Infinite gratitude for sharing your positive energy with me, love, Futu. Thank you so very much, and thank you for your support, right? So first things first, whenever I'm teaching master lessons, and this is not to insult any of your intelligence, any one of your intellect, right? This is not to insult. However, I like to break things down and to remind you what certain things mean, because comprehension plays a huge part in mastery. Can we remember that? Can we say that? Comprehension plays a huge part in mastery. What type of mastery? Mastering yourself, mastering your mind, mastering the multidimensional realities that you're living in simultaneously. That's another masterclass. But trust me, in order for you to master the realities, all of the realities, all of your different personalities, all of yourselves simultaneously, you need to understand and be able to comprehend what you're listening to, comprehend what you're seeing, comprehend what you're digesting, comprehend what you're receiving, correct? How many of you know a lot of arguments get started because one or the other person don't comprehend what we said? A lot of arguments get started because they hear something that was never said, right? And a lot of that is because what? We don't understand. And so first things first, what is suffering? We're talking about suffering. What is suffering? Put in the comment section, what is suffering? What does suffering mean to you? You all are intelligent people. Hi, love. How are you? How are you, striving? How are you, my love? What is suffering? It's important to understand this. If you are suffering, which most of us are, it is important for you to comprehend what suffering is. And not just what the term, the surface level term, right? Surface level term, suffering in a context of this masterclass, right? Is the bearing or undergoing of discomfort, distress, dis-ease. Does that sound familiar? Any type of discomfort, any type of dis-ease, any type of agony that comes from grief, that comes from separation, that comes from a lack of information. So let's ask a question. You all know that I love engagement. This is how this works. So continue to tap the screen, share the live, and show out, because I'm always going to show out for you. So let me ask you a question. What are some of the things that the majority of us are suffering from? What are some of the top things that the majority of us are suffering from? What are these things? What are these things that we are suffering from? Thank you, my love. Thank you. Thank you. Infinite gratitude. Thank you for the hearts. I see them coming up. Alicia, hi, love. Hi, beautiful. How you doing, honey? Right? So what are the top things that we're suffering from, right? Unresolved childhood wounds. We hear this all the time, right? We're constantly hearing people tell other people how they're still traumatized, how they still have mommy issues, how they still have daddy issues, how they still have traumas and old wounds, right? Isn't that one of them, right? The inner child fragments, holding on to fear, holding on to shame, holding on to unworthiness, right? Abandonment issues, right? That's one of the top things that many of us are suffering from. Abandonment, rejection, the feeling that we are unloved or that we are excluded, right? Which creates what? Deeper states of identity wounds, right? So come on, my loves, we're talking about suffering. We don't want to suffer no more, right? We don't want to suffer no more. And a lot of us, just because we don't say we're suffering, don't mean that we're not suffering. A lot of the very same people you are talking to today, that you talked to yesterday, that you will talk to tomorrow, they are suffering in some type of way, and they're suffering in silence, and it's getting worse. Right? Yes, we don't. It's getting worse. There are so many people that suffer in silence. There are so many people that are crying out for help. And a lot of us aren't making the situations better because we aren't even aware. We aren't even in tune enough to read other people's energy. A lot of us are just going like we on autopilot, and we're not even doing one of the things that we were created to do, which is love not only ourselves, but love thy neighbor, love other people. How can you purely love someone if you're not even understanding of what they're actually going through? Most times when we are asked, hey, how you feeling today? Or most times when we are asked how we're feeling today, or we ask someone how we feeling today, most of us lie. Ashe, living in a reality that you feel stuck in. Ashe, Divine. I love that. I love that response. I love that answer, right? A lot of us are not happy. A lot of us lie. And we say, oh, I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm doing amazing. I'm doing great. No sense of complaining. Infinite gratitude, spiritual priestess. No sense of complaining, right? We hear these responses all the time, but deep down inside, baby, we are crying. Some of us are so desperate for relief that we are doing anything and everything to relieve us of the pain, to relieve us of the hurt, to relieve us. We just want a little bit of relief. And it is causing a lot of us to self-destruct at an alarming rate. And how can we say we love ourselves and we love our neighbor and we love our family if we don't have an ounce of energy, an ounce of love, an ounce of care to give to someone? How long are we going to keep pretending like we're not suffering from something? So another one of those things is what? The abandonment and the rejections, the feelings of being separate, being not having an identity, the lack of purpose or direction. A lot of us are suffering because we don't know where we going. We don't know which way we going and when we going in those directions, right? The soul suffers when it's not in alignment with its divine purpose. How many of us actually know what that means? Right? We're still talking about the root of suffering. And we're going to get into the leading causes. There are 4 leading causes that are causing most of us to deeply suffer. And I don't want you suffering anymore. I don't want you suffering, and you don't have to suffer. You don't have to be suffering all the time. You don't have to be in poverty. You don't have to be neglectful. You don't have to feel unloved. You don't have to be in isolation. And you sure as HELL don't have to do it yourself. This is why we are here. However, if you never learn what's going on, if you never are aware what's going on, if you keep repressing what's going on, how are you going to get better? Right? So we need to have a deeper understanding of the things that we're going through in order to change them. And if we keep listening to individuals who don't have a clue as to what they're talking about, we're going to keep consuming and becoming people who we no longer want to become, right? We must turn it over. It is spiritual bankruptcy. Ashe, Amy, I love that you said that. It is spiritual bankruptcy, right? So we're suffering from the lack of purpose. Many of us are suffering from the loss of control. People suffer when they cannot predict or manipulate the outcome. How many of us have seen other people that just completely lose control because they're not in control? They want to dictate every who, they want to dictate every when, they want to dictate everywhere, they want to dictate every what. They want to dictate and be in sole control of everything. And the quickest way to lose yourself is to continually operate that like you want to be in control of everything. Let it go. release it, transmute it. This is when we get into alchemy. Infinite gratitude for tapping the screen. Again, peace. Welcome in on YT land, FB land. I say the acronyms because TikTok is a little sensitive. And definitely to my TikTok family, infinite gratitude. If this is your first time with me, let me know in the comment section so I can give you a proper peace, love. Hey, love. Hey, I love when I connect with light and like-minded individuals because, baby, you are me, I am you, and together we are powerful, divided we are powerless. This is where we begin to transform. This is where we elevate. This is where we ascend by receiving and consuming accurate, proven information. So we can do what? Begin to transform, right? Because we wasn't purposed to suffer. Contrary to popular belief, we wasn't purposed to suffer. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know who told you that you must suffer in order to experience heaven, that you must suffer in order to experience a great life, that you must suffer in order to live the life you wanted, that you deserve and love, that you must suffer in order to elevate. That's not true. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to hustle hard. You don't have to beg, borrow, and steal. You don't have to do any of that. But what you do have to do is start to remember who you are. And this is why I am here. This is why you told yourself to be here, because it's time to remember. It's time to awaken. It's time to remember who you are. It's time to move from a state of being powerless to powerful, because let me tell you something. You're going to do one or two things when you enter this world. When you come to a state of maturity and being, you are either going to master self or someone is going to master you. You're either going to master self or someone is going to master you. And a lot of us are unknowingly being mastered by other people, places, and things, systems, government, all of these different things. And we keep falling victim to it as if we haven't seen this same trick done. They are performing the same trickery. And it baffles me as to why so many of us are still being tricked by the same tricks over and over. And we're allowing it as if we're not powerful. And so I'm here to remind you, you don't have to struggle financially. You don't have to struggle mentally. You don't have to struggle spiritually. Now, does that mean that you're not going to ever experience duality, the polarity? Because there is no left without right, up without down, right without wrong, you righteous without unrighteous, light without dark. But just because we are supposed to experience the duality of who we are in our essence doesn't mean that we have to be suffering. 80% of our days, we don't have to feel betrayed. We don't have to keep experiencing betrayal. We don't have to keep experiencing heartbreak in which what our trust is ruptured by the nervous system. Right? In which our brains are not rewiring because we're constantly being taken advantage of. We're constantly being abused in many different areas, physically, mentally, financially, right? All of these different things, but we don't have to. And the quick fixes isn't working, right? Amy says some of us have to go through hard things, however, so we can learn to do better. I agree. We must experience the duality of things in order for you to do better. But what is absolutely not supposed to happen is us continually running on that dysfunctional hamster wheel, calling it progress. Just because you are moving doesn't mean you're moving forward. Let's say that again. Just because you're moving don't mean you're moving forward. Just like on a treadmill, right? You could be moving and moving backwards. You could be moving and be moving backwards. And our life is our receipts, right? So money activates our root chakra and the security. So when we feel unsafe, guess what? Our money get funny. Right? Infinite gratitude, non-Eva for support following. Infinite gratitude. This is important because there's too many of us that are suffering. And it's sad. It's sad. However, I also understand that a lot of us wasn't taught the things that we need to be taught. A lot of us wasn't taught in school what our mind is, how powerful our mental system is. A lot of us wasn't taught about metaphysics. A lot of us wasn't taught about universal laws and principles that govern all of us, everything in existence. A lot of us wasn't taught about quantum physics, quantum mechanics. A lot of us wasn't taught about gene expression and DNA and ancestral DNA and lineage and mass and the transmutation of energy. A lot of us wasn't taught that. However, that's in the past, baby. Because we are of a mature age, there's no rhyme, reason, justification, or excuse as to why many of us are still suffering the way we are suffering. Infinite gratitude for the heart, my love. Infinite gratitude. And we don't have to. And this is why I show up every week. This is why I show up every week and I teach all things mastery. Why? So you can gain a deeper understanding of everything that involves you. So you can start reclaiming your power and stop walking around here like you're powerless. So you can start understanding that what you feed gains power and what you starve loses power. What you feed gain power. And a lot of us are unknowingly feeding depression. A lot of us are unknowingly feeding the fears. We're feeding the scarcities. We're feeding the same demons. We're feeding the same wicked people. We're feeding the same systems that we want to destroy. And it's not getting better. Why? Because we don't understand what we need to understand. Right? Because we've been taught in school to sit still, be good, raise your hand when you need to respond, or ask for permission all the time. Let's serve notice today. Let's serve notice to the world, to anyone who is unrighteous, that we are stepping in our power. We are reclaiming our power. You don't need nobody validation to operate in your glory. You don't need nobody's permission to operate in your power. You don't need nobody's permission to ascend and elevate. You don't need nobody's permission to do that. You don't need nobody's permission to be great. You don't need nobody's permission to shine your light and shine it bright as you can. You should never dim your light to appease someone else's foolishness, stupidity, or ignorance. Ashe, I am currently working on an ebook called The Many Faces of Me. Ashe, Non-Eva. Ashe, make sure you let me know when you complete it so I can support you. This is, when I support you, I support me. When you support me, you support you, because we are one. Right? And so there are individuals and there are concepts out there that continually teach us separatism. When we are constantly in the knowing or the believing that everything is separate, that we're just individual, everything is individual, is them against us, is us against them. Infinite gratitude, right? We are one. Like, do you understand how phenomenal you are? Do you understand how phenomenal your system is? Do you understand how your heart functions? Do you understand how your mind functions? Do you understand how your nervous system functions? Do you understand the power that's in your blood, the power that's in your DNA? Do you understand your DNA is just not blood? Do you understand your DNA has infinite information? There is nothing that you do not know. And I say that with all due respect and all confidence. Everything you need to know is in you, within you. That's not a cute cliche. It's not. We're still talking about suffering. Many of us are suffering from the things we're suffering for because we are not remembering who we are and how powerful we are. Earth has water. You have water in you. We share the same DNA as the sun, the same DNA as the moon, the same DNA as the trees, the same DNA as everything that's living. We are the infinite source of creation. We are one with that infinite source of creation. So how is it that we are a part of this infinite source of creation, this infinite source of life that creates all things, and we're still suffering from loneliness, we're suffering from lack, we're suffering from poverty, we're suffering from neglect, we're suffering from separatism, we're still suffering from abandonment wounds. Why are we still suffering? That only lets me know that we don't remember who we are. And that's what I'm here to remind us of who we are. God tells us to be brothers and sisters in his name. Ashe. Ashe. It is our choice every day. Every day, yes, every day you get an opportunity to breathe. You decide what your day is going to be. You decide, and you don't have to what? You don't have to keep hurting. You don't have to keep being depressed. You don't have to continually suffer from addictions, sexual addictions, etc. You don't have to. I was once suffering in deep suffering. I didn't understand at that point. I'm talking many moons ago. So when I tell you I can relate, I don't only teach from experience, I teach from the universal principles and laws of a deeper understanding of what we are, our divine purposes, and what we are to accomplish and experience here on this earth. I remember a time when I was so depressed, I was full of anxiety, I was full of suffering. Like many of you that had tough upbringings, yes, I remember. I would never forget the time I was in the military. Never forget, I was in Afghanistan. We were deployed overseas in Afghanistan. Not only did I have to embrace this unknown of being in the military and being targeted and being hated, being in a country where people were programmed to hate me just because I'm from America, just because I am in the military and I'm a soldier like many of them. I will never forget the time where I myself attempted suicide. Put an S there. I will never forget. I was actually assaulted by an Afghan man. And meanwhile, I thought that I was completely healed. I thought that I was not depressed. I thought that all of those things was left in the past. You hear me? But when that time came, when I experienced that, all things seemingly just went to HELL. And the weight of everything was so severe. It was so intense. So when I say I understand that people are in such deep states of suffering and deep states of depression, the only way some of them feel like they can get any type of relief is if they transition out of this realm. Because that's how I felt. Many people right now are contemplating transitioning, taking themselves out because the suffering is too heavy and it's too overwhelmed. And guess what? It wasn't my time. It wasn't my time, and it's not your time. Unknowingly, I still had a lot of work to do. And so that was the catalyst of me diving deeper into self-mastery, me diving deeper into psychology and quantum physics and genetics and epigenetics and quantum mechanics and universal laws and principles, because I needed to know the why behind the why, the core within the core within that core, as to why I got to that point where I just wanted to give up. Why did I get to the point where I didn't see no light? Why did it get to the point where I seen no way out? There was no light at the end of the tunnel. And many of us feel like that. Why? So that started my search. And once I started mastering self, mastering my spirit self, mastering my soul self, mastering quantum physics and all of these things, I began to remember who I am, that I am part creator of my reality. I started to take full responsibility and accountability for where I was. I stopped blaming my mother. I stopped blaming my father. I stopped blaming other people, places, and things. I stopped blaming the racist people. I stopped blaming the unjust systems, the corrupt systems. I stopped blaming and started taking accountability for my stuff. I stopped playing the victim and I became the victor. I stopped acting like I was powerless and started operating operating in my power, which is what I'm encouraging you to do. However, if you never understand what we're talking about this evening, what suffering is and the root of it, how can you transmute it? How can you fix it? How can you change? Peace, Cuzzo. Peace, Chef. How are you, my love? Right? Ashe divine. I agree. Right? And so all of these things we need to understand. How can you fix something from within something? You cannot. A lot of us are attempting to create a better life from dysfunction. A lot of us are trying to create a better life from hurt and pain, and that's not what happens. That's not the process. Many of us are trying to fix our circumstances, our problems, our issues from within the circumstances, problems, our issues, and that's not the way it works, my loves. Right? Infinite gratitude for tapping the screen. Let's continue to exchange. Right? Because what you exchange returns back to you. You get what you give, not what you want. Right? You get what you give. Peace, Cuzzo. How are you? Thank you. Infinite gratitude. And so that's what we're speaking about this evening. Why? Because we need to know. Right? What you consume, you become. Frequency rises when your system isn't weighed down. Did y'all hear me? When we talk about alignment, when we talk about manifesting, when we talk about attracting, when we talk about bringing our dreams into fruition, when we talk about changing the trajectory of our lives, frequency rises when we're not weighed down by what? Weighed down by suffering, weighed down by poverty, weighed down by what? Isolation, weighed down by not being accepted. A lot of us have a lot of weight on us, and we wonder why we cannot create. We are not in alignment with the things that we want to experience, so we're not experiencing it. And just because you say you want something doesn't mean that's the something that you're going to get in return. Remember, the universe, God, the infinite source of creation, the infinite source of life, only understands the language of what? My loves, the language of energy, the language of frequency, the language of vibration. And what is that? If you do not understand that you are a bioelectromagnetic being, if you do not understand that your heart is magnetic, if you do not understand that your thoughts are electrical signals, if you do not understand that we are primarily ruled by our subconscious core programming and database, guess what? You're going to continually send the wrong signals to the universe. Guess what? You're going to continually magnetize the wrong type of things in your life that you no longer want. A lot of us have questions like, why do I keep attracting the same type of no good men and women? Why do I keep attracting all of this frustration? Why do I keep attracting toxicity? Why do I keep attracting poverty situations? Why do I feel like I'm constantly waiting for income tax time and I'm broke 3 months later? All of these things, if you don't never understand, how can you change them? How can you fix them? Right? So we are not creating and manifesting or attracting what we desire to experience because we are overstimulated with too much of things that are not serving us. People, places, and things must be in alignment with your desired outcome, not in alignment with who you are now. They must be in alignment with your desired outcome. And if they are not, you are still consuming low frequencies, low vibrations. You are still consuming toxicity. You are still consuming foolishness. You are still consuming waste. And guess what? It's emitting. This is what your identity is becoming. This is what your personality is being shaped by, right? And it shouldn't be. So the first cause, remember I said we're going to go through 4 main causes of suffering. And the first cause is attachment to identity and the story. I say oftentimes, the stories you continually repeat are the stories you're going to continually live. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. How many of us are still repeating the same old stories of trauma? Repeating the same old stories of what mommy did, what daddy did, or what mommy and daddy didn't do, or what the government did or didn't do, or what society did or didn't do, what your school did or didn't do, what your partners, your love interest did or didn't do. How many of us are still recycling and repeating the same stories over and over again, and we wonder why things aren't changing? You live the stories that you tell. So start telling a new story, even if your mind and body don't currently believe it. Pardon me. Right? In order to create a new reality, live the new story, you have to tell a new story. What is the story you want to tell? What do you want to experience? Start talking like you want it. Start talking like you know you deserve it. Start talking like you know it's already yours. Start walking like it, talking like it, thinking like it, dressing like it, being like it. Because every time you repeat the same stories, you're just simply unknowingly feeding those same stories. So guess what you're telling the universe? Guess what you're telling God? Oh, they like suffering, so let me send somebody that's gonna cause them more suffering, because that's what they're communicating to me. Let me send them more ways that they are going to continually lose money. Let me continually send them more experiences to cause them to suffer. Why? Because that's what you keep doing. That's what you keep living. Until you start telling the new story. Suffering is perpetuated when we continually attach to a narrative that was built through trauma, that was built through survival, that was built through old programs and or separation. So whether we feel or felt like we wasn't enough, we wasn't worthy, we wasn't accepted, we wasn't loved, we wasn't popular enough, we wasn't rich enough, right? The longer you continually to attach those things, you will always struggle. You will always struggle. Let me do this verification puzzle real quick. Put a 1 in a comment section if you understand what I'm saying. Because this is where the true work is. Gaining a deeper understanding of what we're going through. Hi, Press. How are you, my love? What is this? Epistemology. I'm sorry if Jeffy, I see. How are you, honey? Chanel, I see the 1, right? We have to gain a deeper understanding of this, because we can't fix a situation from within a situation. And sometimes it causes for your reflection to remind you, I am simply a reflection of you, a higher version of you, reminding you that it's time to elevate, that it's time to ascend, that it's time to get out of the funk, that it's time to stop living in the past, that it's time to stop repeating the past. Nothing that you want is out of reach. Nothing that you want is out of reach. Are we not seeing people literally living out their best lives? And even though we don't know all the ins and outs of these things, what we cannot do is deny that there are people living their best lives. There are no major differences from them and us, them and you. The same capabilities they have, you have. It's just that they understand certain things. They understand certain things. They are practicing certain things that you are not. It's not that you're incapable. It's just that you are not fully aware right now of the things you're supposed to be aware of to fix it. Infinite gratitude, June Flight. How are you? Infinite gratitude, my love, right? So in order for you to tell another story, in order for you to learn to master self, to master your reality, to attract or manifest anything you want, because it's possible, you have to understand some things. You have to shift some things around. You're going to have to be willing to to exchange some things. You're gonna have to be willing to minimize your consumption, because right now we're being weighed down with things that's not serving us. People, places, and things, right? So when we continually attach ourselves to old narratives that we are unworthy, and you know what? Let me just say this while I'm thinking about it. A lot of us are dealing with poverty because we have an unhealthy association with money. Where am I going with this? We attract or manifest or bring to fruition or materialize according to how we associate with something. I'm gonna use me as an example. For years and years and years, I struggled. I was in poverty. I struggled with money. My money was playing ping pong with me. Infinite gratitude for the gifts, my love. 1 minute I got money, 1 minute I don't. 1 minute I have it, 1 minute I don't. 1 minute I have it, 1 minute I don't. And for the love of me, I couldn't understand why I was always broke, why I could not hold money. Despite the fact that we wasn't taught economic principles, despite the fact that we wasn't taught money management, despite all of that, I had an unhealthy association with money because I was brought up in poverty. So my neurological system, my nervous system, my programming was that of poverty, that of lack. And I kept attracting situations that continually put me in situations of lack because I unknowingly had an association. My association with money was that of lack. Same thing with love. A lot of us have an unhealthy, dysfunctional association. Hi, abstract mind. Hi, beautiful. A lot of us have an unhealthy attachment relationship, and we have infinite relationships. We have a relationship with everything. I'll get to that after I make this point. It's the same with love. How do you expect to attract a man or woman that's going to love you purely, that's going to appreciate you purely, that's going to understand you purely, that's going to include you in their life purely, when you don't even love yourself? When you don't even see yourself, when you constantly hiding from every reflection that you see because it reminds you of how much and how low you think of yourself, how much you think you are unworthy. If your core programming is that of unworthiness, guess what? Guess what you're going to continually attract? This isn't rhetoric, my loves. I tell you all the time, do the research yourself. I'm speaking scientific facts. Indisputable facts. I'm speaking spiritual, indisputable facts. The way you associate with something is the way you're going to attract that something. So a lot of us continually ask, why can I attract a man or a woman to do this? Why I'm not attracting money? Why I can't experience elevation? Why am I still stuck at this job? Why can I experience happy? Why does it feel like I'm happy 1 minute, I'm sad the next? Why does it feel like 1 minute I do, 1 minute I don't? 1 minute I'm forward, the next minute I'm 10 steps back? Because of your unconscious programming. And if you never understand what cognitive reprogramming is, guess what? You're going to keep doing the same things, getting the same results, only things are not going to remain the same. They are going to continually get worse because the universal principle of rhythm says that nothing stays the same. Everything flows, everything sways, everything moves. The universal principle of resonance and correspondence says that everything is in constant motion. So people say that, oh, same old, same old. No, nothing is staying the same. Things are changing, and it's changing at an alarming rate. Why? Because you don't yet understand what's going on. And if you don't understand what's going on, how can you fix it? Talking about it isn't understanding something. You have to live, breathe, and practice mastery. Why? Because you are a master. You are mastery. Hi, beautiful. Hi, honey. How are you, my love? How you doing today? You are mastery. This is what I teach you in the creating your desired reality master program. I teach you about how to reconstruct your identity. It teaches you about how to cognitive reprogram your unconscious database, your core program. It teaches you about alignment. It teaches you about universal principles and laws. I teach you about manifesting and attracting the core of it so you can actually create the life that you want to live. Create the experiences that you want to live. You don't have to suffer, my love. So this first cause that of one of the four main causes that is causing us to suffer is attachment to old identities that you are continually perpetuating because you don't know any better right now to change it. There was a study done by neuroscience Dr. Bruce Limpton and Dr. Joe Dispenza. And these are qualified educators, years. They are experts in their field, and they show that 95% of our behaviors are driven by unconscious programming. So if you never connect with a qualified mentor that can train you, teach you, mentor you, guess what? Your core programming isn't going to change. So your life isn't going to change. The man or woman that you deserve in your life isn't going to change. That's just the truth of it. What you invest in is going to be returned to you. Who you invest in is going to be returned to you. Isn't it time for you to invest in something or someone that can actually give you what you need? So you can create the experiences that you want to experience. Why do you? Some of us are lying to ourselves saying, oh, I choose to be single. Now, even though sometimes that's correct, that's accurate, some of us do choose to be single, but the majority of us are lying. And you want to know how I know we lying? Because it is not in our nature to be single. It is not in our nature to be separate from. It is not in our divine nature. It is in our divine nature to be interdependent, to be one with. So many of us are lying, saying that, oh, we like being single. We choose to be in isolation. We choose to still be healing after 5, 10, 20, 13, 18 plus years. No, you don't. That goes against the natural order. That goes against the natural order. So if 95% of all of our behaviors, of 95% of our identity, 90% of our personality, 95% of our actions are all predicated upon past traumas, past programming, past stories, then guess what? You're going to keep reliving. Nothing changes until you decide to change it, my love. So these are scientific facts. If you have any questions about the CYDR program, ask me. I will answer you. I do have what you need to start changing your life, but I won't force you. I will not force you. I will walk with you, but not for you. I will walk with you and run with you to the finish line, but I cannot cross it for you. You have to want that bad enough for yourself. Because if you want something or someone bad enough, if you want to experience something or someone bad enough, it ain't no... What the hell? Hold on. Welcome to All Things Mastery. Why? I'm your host, educated and... Why is this playing? Let me get out of here. Okay, let's get back to it, right? So if you do not understand what you need to understand for change, nothing is going to change in the way that you want it to change. And remember, nothing stays the same. Energy moves, everything moves. You're either going forward or you're going backwards. You're either ascending or you're descending. You're either evolving or devolving. You're either moving forward or backwards. Nothing stays the same. And so these indisputable facts of these scientific facts that I just showed you are true. And I believe it's the second master lesson in the Creating Your Desired Reality program, where you learn how to reconstruct your identity. It also teaches you how to start mentally reprogramming, so you can do what? Change the trajectory of your life. Right? So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And if you know you're ready, if you know you need the information, if you know you want it, you want what you want bad enough, click the link in my bio. It is the very first tab. I'll show you what to do later. But let's get back into it. So the second primary cause of our suffering, our deep states of suffering, is suppressed emotional energy. Suppressed emotional energy. Suffering increases when we feel ignored. Say that again. Suffering increases when we begin to feel like we are ignored, or when we are feel like we're being minimized, or we're just being bypassed. They're just nobody sees us, nobody hears us. Suffering actually expands. What you suppress compounds. It doesn't go away. Just because you think it away, you will it away. It doesn't work that way, right? So there are studies that also show, there was a research by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, that in the body keeps the score. And I know some of you heard that before. Your body keeps a score of your traumas. So when it comes to us trying to heal, when it comes to us trying to learn self-mastery, when it comes to us just trying to do better, just trying not to suffer, if you do not understand what I'm teaching you, it's not going to work. Hi, Nico. How are you, my love? Hi, Tanya. Hi, sis. How are you, love? Infinite gratitude. Continue to tap the screen, continue to share and exchange your positive energy. That's the way it works. You receive what you give. So if it's a little thing that you have to do it, because it's going to make a big difference. Our bodies remember. And so we have also a part of our suffering is because we have a lot of blocked energy within us. Our energy centers, what some call chakras, are blocked. They're not moving. The energy is stagnant because every time we feel uncomfortable, we push it aside. We sweep it under the rug, thinking that it is just disappearing. And it's not. I'm glad you're doing wonderful, Nico. I'm so glad you're doing wonderful. Infinite gratitude. Yes, this message resonates. Ashe. Ashe, we need to know why we're suffering. There's too many of us that are suffering in silence. There's too many of us. Suicide, it's at an all-time high right now. And especially with younger people. So we have a responsibility to educate ourselves. We have a responsibility not just for ourselves, but ourselves, because we are a part of one another. We're not separate from one another. Even though we're having independent experiences, we still are a part of. Everything you do matters. Everything you do resonates. Everything you do echoes through realities, through universes. Everything you do affects nature. It affects the cosmos. It affects the world. Everything you do. And we should be in remembrance of that. Right? But this is why we here. This is why you are supposed to be here. And let me just say this. I've remembered who I am in all my multifaceted power, identities, purposes, and realities simultaneously. I know where I vibrate. I know the ascension. I know the master. I understand all of that a lot more than I did 15 years ago. So I am always going to attract according to what and who is in alignment. And so right now, you're not here just by coincidence, happenstance, or just by luck. You are here because you are also in alignment with a high frequency, with the high vibration. Why? Because you and I are exchanging energies right now. Because I don't attract people who are not in alignment with me, and or who I don't need to, and I am not, and I'm purpose to educate, to impart something in. So I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to celebrate yourself because you chose to be here. You chose not to ignore the message that you sent yourself. Ashe? Unfelt emotions become frozen energy stored in our body. They build up over time and they manifest, they materialize as anxiety. They materialize as illnesses and diseases. Diseases is simply in an imbalance of your energy. Blocked energy centers. When your energy centers are blocked, you experience illnesses, you experience diseases, you experience anxieties, you experience depressed emotions. It starts to numb your behaviors. You start to neglect it. When we suppress anger, when we suppress grief, when we suppress shame, when we suffer silently and unconsciously, that expands. It don't just stays the same. Hi, Shayna. How are you, my love? Hey, JC. How you doing, sweetheart? Right? So we have to understand what's going on so we can change it. And you cannot change it if you do not have the accurate information to change it. All masters was mentored and trained by masters. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't get to the level of mastery without being sitting near a master or being mentored by whatever it is that you wish to master in your life. If you want to master arts, you need to be with a master of arts. If you want to master any type of artistry, if you want to master any type of field, anything, you have to do what? Invest in someone qualified. Ashe, how are you doing, my love? Hey, JC, how you doing, honey? Right? So we have to understand this. The second leading cause of why so many of us suffer is suppressed emotional energy. And I get it. We wasn't taught about energy in school. We wasn't taught about frequency in school. We wasn't taught about energy centers and chakras. We wasn't taught these things. A lot of this information, this divine sacred information, was kept from us. Why do you think that is? In order to create anything, in order to maintain anything, you need available energy to do it. They needed us to stay deaf, dumb, blind, and docile so they can continue ciphering off our energy to do what? Feed their creations, feed their realities, feed their progress, feed their ascensions, feed their evolutions, not ours. So we stay suppressed, we stay dumb, we stay deaf, we stay docile, we stay stupid. We simply stay ignorant. But there's no rhyme, reason, justification, or excuse right now. It's your energy. You say who gets it and who don't. You get to choose who utilizes and who don't. You get to choose who shares your energy. You get to choose who you give it to. Stop allowing people, places, and things to cipher off your most precious life force just because you want a quick feel good. Suffering. The second leading cause is suffering. A Harvard study on mind wandering, right, showed that people are significantly less happy when their minds are not in the present. How many of us are everywhere else but in the present? How many of us are in the past? How many of us are too far in the future? How many of us are living from the past or living from the future? We wake up thinking about who we need to email. We wake up thinking about problems. We wake up thinking about bills. We wake up thinking about the children. We wake up thinking about what we're going to wear. We wake up thinking about how we're going to work. We wake up thinking about who we're going to cuss out or who might cuss us out. We wake up thinking about how the traffic and how the weather is going to be. We wake up bombarded by everything that is not important in that present moment. So we've been groomed and programmed to neglect our very essence. No wonder why we're weak. No wonder why we can't create our desired reality. Because we're exhausted ourselves by giving it to every person, place, or thing. Aren't you? You're not just a mother. You're not just a father. You're not just a worker. You're not just a businessman. You're not just a businesswoman. You're not just a wife. You're not just a husband. You're not just a auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, friend. You're not just that. You are so much more. All of those things are secondary to your divine, infinite presence. Everything else is secondary. So we're not living in the moment, which is why we're so unhappy. That was a study done, right? When people are significantly unhappy when their minds are so bombarded in the past or in the future and not in the present, even if the present is unpleasant. We so busy running from uncomfortability, and it is in being uncomfortable at times where the infinite possibilities are. Right? So we use presence and pattern interruption to bring your attention. This is something that I teach you in All Things Mastery. I teach you how to return to the present moment. I teach you techniques. One is called pattern interruption, so you can bring your whole essence being back to the present moment. Right? This is important. And the third leading cause of our deep suffering is resistance to the present moment. When the mind is constantly revisiting regrets, revisiting the traumas, the past traumas, remembering all of the hurts and pains, or anticipating worry, right? Failing to bring things that we want to come to fruition in the future, the body remains in this vicious loop of stress, right? Cortisol, adrenaline continues to be released and spread through the body, so you continue to stay in survival mode, you continue to stay in this fight or flight mode all the time. Every time is a fight. Before you wake up, you fight, and we fighting in our sleep, and nothing happened. We're running from bears that don't even exist. We're creating struggle. We're creating strife. We're creating the suffering unknowingly, right? And these are signs that we need to be anchored, and anchored now, not tomorrow, anchored now, right? And so the leading to the fourth and final leading cause of suffering is disconnection from our highest self. Now I want us to pay attention. A lot of us are disconnected from our higher self, from the source, from the divine truth. Not a subjective truth, the divine truth. Without being spiritually, metaphysically anchored, we are pulled into false matrices, not just a matrix, not just the matrix. There are matrices. There is a matrix of health. There's a matrix of disparity. There's a matrix of poverty. There's a matrix of nutrition. There's a matrix of all the different WARS. There are matrices, not just the matrix. That and that goes to intertwine that there are multiple realities, not just one. We are interdimensional beings. We're not just one being. We are interdimensional beings, whether you know it or not, like it or not, accept it or not, no matter how you interpret it, that's just what it is. And so if we are not spiritually anchored, we are continually pulled in these false matrices of comparison, lack, disempowerment, disconnected from source, from life, from our divine essence, leading to what? Existing suffering. Even when everything appears to look good on the outside, right? Studies in transpersonal psychology also show that there's a direct correlation, right, between spiritual disconnection and chronic anxiety or depression. Did y'all understand what I just said? There is a direct correlation between spiritual disconnection and chronic anxiety and depression. People need meaning to thrive. You need meaning to thrive. You need meaning to fulfill your purposes. Well, first you need to know what your purposes are and is. It's not just one purpose. Nico, infinite gratitude. There's not just one purpose. There are purposes. And so when you don't have a sense of connectedness to source, to life, to God, to creation, whatever you call it, the divine, that leads to deep states of suffering. This is scientifically proven, my love. So reflection question should be what? Which of these root causes am I currently living through? What are you suffering from? What are the stories that you continue to tell yourself that causes you more suffering? What are the stories that you continually tell yourself that aren't true? They never been true. They aren't true. I'll never forget. My guardian that raised me instilled in me that I was stupid, right? For so long, I'll never forget, there was a moment where I was doing, I think I was doing definitions or opposites, right, of words. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at the dining room table, and for the life of me, I don't remember what age I was. Infinite gratitude, June Flight. How are you, my love? I'll never forget. I was sitting at the table, and the question was, what's the opposite of hard, right? Infinite gratitude, my love. Thank you so much, Shayna. Thank you so much, June Light. So, fight. Sorry, my love. So, I couldn't, for the love of me, understand or gain the answer of what was the opposite of hard. And so she kept asking me, what's the opposite of hard, dummy? What's the opposite of hard, dummy? And this is what it was, right? And I'm sharing this story from a healed place. I no longer suffer from that. So I'm expressing to you, I'm telling you, I like to use my transparent stories and truths to relate, right? And so what I'm sharing to you is how we form unhealthy patterns, unhealthy identities that we accepted over time, because that was what was programmed into us, that we've accepted knowingly or unknowingly. And she said, what's the meaning of heart? And she always called me stupid. She always called me dumb. She always called me the black sheep, because I was a lot darker when I was young and most of my siblings was light. So there was it was all type of complexities back then, right? All type of disruptions. And I'll never forget, I didn't know the answer, and she left out the room. I thought that she left out the room, and I was like, oh, I'm good. I can just focus on trying to find the answer myself without the pressure. And she came in the room. She came back in the dining room at the table. I'm still sitting at the table, and she asked me again, what's the opposite of hard, stupid? And she knocked me over the head with a roll of toilet paper. And I'm like, at the time, you don't talk back to your parents. It is what it is. But that was the beginning of me adopting and accepting that I was really stupid, that I had a learning disability, that I was dumb, that I was never gonna grad or get promoted. I was gonna get left back. Mind you, I was never left back, not once, not any time, right? So when she knocked me in the head with the tissue and said, it's soft, stupid, it's soft. The opposite of hard is soft. I was in elementary school or pre-K, whatever it was. I just didn't know. But that's what started. So when I say you need help connecting the dots, so you can sever that cord, so you can change the narrative of that dysfunctional story that you accepted. So one of the driving forces behind me being such an intellectual today, being so intelligent and wise and a lover of knowledge. I'm a reader. I love books. I love information. That was one of the catalysts, because when I realized that she didn't know any better. And that's how she was raised. And she could have only given me what she was given. So since then long forgiven her. However, I realized that that was the conception and a catalyst to that identity that I had, past tense, of myself. And so just like that situation, a lot of you have adopted and have taken on personalities and characteristic traits that isn't yours. It was someone else's that was pushed onto you. You're not stupid. You're not dumb. You're not powerless. You're not a victim. You are going to amount to whatever you want to amount. You will and are something and someone to be reckoned with in this life. I don't care what they told you in the past, and right now, you're not going to care anymore either. You're going to forgive them for their ignorance. You're going to forgive them, not for them, for you. You are going to understand that they only gave you what they had to give. But right now you are mature enough, you are wise enough to know that you say who, you say what, you say when, you say why, you say how. You're in control, not them. You determine what characteristics you want to embody. You determine where you want to go in life. You determine how intellectual you want to be. You get to determine how wise you want to be. You get to determine what you want your life to be. And it starts with you acknowledging that you don't know what you don't know. And you're not supposed to. You wasn't purposed to do it alone, and you don't have to. This is what you learn in the Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program. It gives you all of the fundamentals so you can start taking intentional steps to create the reality and the experiences that you want to experience. Whether you want a wife, a husband, a life partner, a soul flame, twin flame, whether you want a business, whether you want to scale your business, whether you want to make more money, whether you want more peace, to be more happy, all of that starts with understanding and learning the fundamentals of who you are and the universal laws and practices that govern you and dictate what and who you're going to create. There's no other way around it, my loves. Infinite gratitude, JC. So are you, my love. Infinite gratitude. We are reflections of each other, right? And so I need y'all to have a deeper understanding of that. I really do. I really do. I want the best for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm celebrating you. I'm telling you I love you, and I mean it. I'm telling you you can do it. I'm telling you that everything you need is within you. I'm telling you that you are capable. I'm telling you that you can embrace with love, with excitement, embrace the unknown. I'm telling you that you can go to greater heights. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And if others can do it, you can do it. But you have to want it. You have to want it. Nobody can want it for you. Without this information, without it, we continue to suffer. You continue to suffer. I continue to suffer. Our loved ones continue to suffer. And that's not what we want. Right? That's not what we want. So if you have any questions about the Mastery Program, please ask. Please ask. And this is what it is for. This is why I created. This is why I created the Master Program. This is why I took time and energy and fasting and meditating and putting everything into creating these master lessons, because this is what you need. Ashe? So if you are interested, make sure you just click the link in the bio and just read it. Look at the information, look at the benefits, look at what it can and will do for you if you invest in yourself. Okay. And like always, if you have any questions, please ask. If you need any direction, please DM me. I would absolutely respond to you. Unusually busy. What's up, my love? Right. And so this evening we were talking about, I teach all things mastery. This evening we were talking about, this is a 4 series master class. So we have the root of suffering, we go through the root of depression. There's the root of poverty. That one is going to be real good. And there's the root of PTSD. I also have a master class on mastering money, which is coming up, but I'll be teaching that in the All Things Mastery mentorship community. So if you're interested, if you get the Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program, you invest once. That gives you lifetime access into the community where you get me bi-weekly, twice a month. You'll be learning so many lessons, so many master lessons. Like money is coming up. Mastering money is coming up in July. I'll be teaching those lessons in July. It gives you lifetime access into the community. It also gives you a 30-minute one-on-one onboarding conversation with me as a bonus. So if you have any questions, let me know. While I'm on live, it is going to be half off. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for this information. Infinite gratitude. I appreciate you and sharing your beautiful energy with us. So right now, the master program, CYDR, Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program, is 50% off. No, this is not me selling you something. I'm already in a wonderful financial position. I'm already living out my desired reality in life. I don't beg, I don't borrow, I don't steal, I don't have to. The same way that I invested in myself, you have to make a decision to invest in yourself in something that's going to give you proven results, right? And that's what I guarantee. I am that confident, right? Because what I teach is some of the same things that some of our favorite expert educators are teaching. Only you don't have access to them. You can't get access to them unless you're willing to give up stacks on stacks. So for less than a fraction of the price of investment, it's up to you. I am offering it to you. I'm not begging you. I want you to understand that. I am offering something to you that will change. Notice I didn't say can change. I said will change the trajectory of your life and the lives of everyone who you love. Depression is serious. Suffering is serious. Anxiety is serious, right? Experiencing suicidal thoughts is serious. Unjustly being manipulated is serious. Going through all the things that you don't have to go through is serious. Depression is a serious disorder that a lot of us are going through. Suffering is a serious dis-ease that a lot of us are going through, and you don't have to. It is up to you. So if you are in the process of joining the Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program, please let me know so I can wait for you. If not, we're going to conclude this evening's master lesson, The Roots of Suffering. Right? So as always, these master lessons is to educate, is to empower, and it is to provoke transformation, not just a hoop and holler, not just a feel good. And I do this by revealing the truth, the causes, the deeper causes behind a lot of the things that is causing us to suffer. So I teach you all things mastery, dealing with psychology, mental programming, alignment, manifesting, attracting, I teach you about energy and frequency. I teach you about all of these different things that you need to know if you want to continually create the life you desire. So infinite gratitude, my YT family, for joining. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for tapping the screen. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for engaging and participating, because this is how this works. It's a beautiful exchange. I exchange with you, you exchange with me, and this is how we grow. This is how we continue to grow. This is how we continue to gain power, right? Because we are not powerless, we are powerful. And the more of us that collectively unite, the more the more we are positioned to not only change the trajectory of our lives, but we get to also be a part of changing the trajectory of the state of the world in general, right? As above, so below, and everything in between. Right? So these are absolutely important. This is the information that you need to know. You cannot fix a problem from within a problem. You cannot solve a problem from within a problem, because you are going to be blinded by all of the circumstances that are surrounding that issue. And a lot of times, when you're in situations or in uncomfortable circumstances, you are so distressed that you are unable to see from an advantage point. And this is where I come in. Whether you know it or not, I'm your self-mastery mentor. I've been teaching self-mastery for 15 plus years. I'm a best-selling self-published author, 4 books right now. Today, I create curriculums. The Creating Your Desired Reality Master Program is a phenomenal curriculum that I created myself based upon scientific and spiritual facts. Backed up scientific spiritual facts, and they are up to date. So when I say I know what I know, I know what I know, and I'm extremely confident in teaching it, because I not only know it, I embody these mastery principles, and the receipts of my reality match, right? My walk matches my talk, and my talk matches my walk. 8 months ago, I said I wanted to time jump. I said I wanted to switch realities. It was time for me to elevate. It was time for me to ascend and move from the level that I was on. It's ascending. It's ascension. It's elevating for me. The environment and the level that I was on, I outgrew it. So it was time for me to time jump. It was time for me to elevate. I currently live in Thailand right now. This is what I said. I said, you know what? There's bigger, there's better. I'm on to my next level. This is my next level. And I want to help you get to your next level, whatever that is. My next level was retiring myself, which I did. My next level was leaving the United States, which I did. My next level was creating another stream of income, which I did. And I can confidently say these things because I did it. The same principles that I practice, the same master program that I'm telling you about offering to you, is the same principles and practices that I use day to day. I live them. Even though I can use the countless of men and women that I also help to transform their lives by being their mentor, which I'm extremely honored and will always be honored when someone thinks enough of me and my expertise to come to me for mentorship. I'm honored. And even though I can use countless of other men and women as examples, I always use myself. I would never give you something to taste if I didn't taste it myself. So whether it is bitter, sweet, right? Semi-sweet, semi-bitter, baby, I know how it tastes because I taste it. And if it ain't good for me, it ain't good for you. And if it's good for me, it is good for you. Okay? And I have very high standards, extremely high standards. So again, infinite gratitude. I am your self-mastery mentor and educator, Venus Scott. It is always a pleasure when I connect with you, when I grow with you, and it is always an honor when you allow me into your space, into your vortex, into your world. Continue to make sure you are following me so you get the notifications when I'm live. I am live most Monday evenings and Wednesday evenings and every other Sunday. Well, not evening no more, pardon me, because I now live in Thailand, so I'm 11 hours ahead. So now my self mastery lives are Mondays and Wednesdays, every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And no lesson is rarely the same. I rarely repeat master lessons. So there's always something new. There's always something more to give, to gain, to help us all master self so we can do what? Master our reality. Infinite gratitude for your love, for your support. I will see you next time. Like I said, if you have any other questions, sometimes you don't post your questions there. I get a lot of DMs. So if you have a question to ask, if you need any assistance, any guidance, please direct message me and I will do my very best to get back to you in less than 24 hours since you post a question. Until next time.